No one ever gets rich by being frugal. I would like to discredit that statement. I found this article basically attacking that statement, and I wanted to go over all of the points with you today. I will leave the original post down below for you, and I'm going to use some of their graphics on this video just because I think it's such an interesting topic. The point from that statement is that some people argue that being frugal isn't going to make you rich in the long term. It's making a lot of money that is going to make you rich in the long term. While making more money is helpful, truly it's your savings rate that is going to tip the scales in your favor. So for example, if you make $100,000 a year, I'm just pulling random numbers out of the sky, and you spend $95,000, means you only save $5,000 a year, which is a 5% savings rate. So if you only save $5,000 a year, then let's say you make 6% off of your returns for your entire life. When you make $100,000, just $416 a month for 30 years, age 30 to age 60. By the time you're 60, you'll have $417,000, which is good and fine if your return rate is 6%, which could be argued that's a little on the low side for investments. But if you just shove it under your mattress, you're gonna earn a whole lot less than that. And if your withdrawal rate from your nest egg of $417,000 is 4%, which is kind of the recommended number for retirement nest eggs, you only get to have $16,000 a year to live off of when you are used to living off of $95,000 a year. You see why this is a problem? The point is, you can make $100,000 a year, which in my neighborhood, in my area, that's a pretty good salary. A lot of people don't make that, but you spend almost all of it, you're still gonna retire with essentially nothing. Or maybe you'll just have to work all the way until you're 80 or however long you live, and that's it. So yes, while making more money is helpful, being frugal and saving where you can truly makes a big difference. So let's take this same person who makes $100,000 a year, except this time they save $1,500 a month instead of $416 a month, which is a savings rate of 18% of their income instead of 5%. Keeping all of the other numbers the same, they will retire with $1.5 million, so more than 3 times more than the previous person. But the real secret is this person has actually learned to live off of way less than what they make. So in retirement, essentially, they're going to have to also live off of less than someone who's used to spending more money. So what is your savings rate? Go through your bills, look at what you do. Your savings rate is how much you save divided by how much you make. So what do you save? And that's going to include retirement, probably sinking funds, emergency fund, kids' college, all of these things. What do you save every month? Divide that by what do you make every month? And that should give you your savings rate. And if you want to be rich, I don't really like that word, wealthy. What does rich even mean? Let's Google it. Having a great deal of money or assets. That is the actual definition of the word rich. Okay, let's do wealthy. It's the exact same definition as rich. Wealthy and rich have the exact same definition. Having a great deal of money or resources or assets. I guess to one person that could look really different to someone else. Basically, if you want to have a great deal of assets, the goal is to eventually get to a savings rate of 50% of your income. I was given this advice by my stepmom like 10 years ago. She goes, you want to have a whole lot of stuff for retirement? Save half your income. Invest half your income. I've been taught that for years. This is going to feel completely impossible. I know. Back when Dave and I only made like $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, and we had a house payment and medical bills and student loan debt, 3 kids, and we had to feed our family, and we didn't have any furniture, and our car died, and we had to get a new car. All of these things, trying to set aside that much money, like if you bring home $3,000 a month and you're trying to save $1,500 a month, that is nigh impossible. Like that is so hard to do. What's awesome about being frugal is anyone can learn to do it, save more money, and get rich later. 3 of the most important things is number 1, to identify between needs and wants. There are a whole lot of wants that people classify as needs these days, and that's just not accurate. It's really helpful to take a very hard look at all of your expenses and label them necessary, not necessary, For example, your house, like where you live, you gotta live somewhere. So yeah, that's important. Food, also necessary. Steak and shrimp and expensive cheeses, not really necessary. Those are definitely wants. I'm even gonna go out on a limb here and say your streaming services that you love, those are wants. Those are not necessary. You don't have to have those. Smartphones, that's a controversial statement. I realize that. It isn't. You don't have to have it. Yeah, maybe you need a phone, but there are a lot less expensive options. They're harder to find, like the dumb phones these days, but you can get really good deals on companies like Republic Wireless or Ting or something like that. Step 2, make more money. It is going to be extremely difficult to save 50% of your income if you make minimum wage. The cost of living in the United States is just too high. It just is. Let's just assume that minimum wage is $15 an hour. It's not legally right now, and you work a full 40 hours a week and you work 4 weeks a month, you're earning $2,400 a month before taxes, before health insurance, before deductions, before anything. That is very low. We need to make more moolah. I have done a whole video on side hustles that you can do to make a lot of money. Here is a list for you that this article points out. I agree with it. There are other things you can add to the list. Change careers. This is a big one. This is something that we learned as a school teacher. We did not know when Dave became a school teacher, how little teachers make. While Dave is still in education, he did have a little bit of a career shift. Go back to school and earn an advanced degree for whatever is in demand. Dave also did that one, went back to school to get a master's degree. We found the cheapest online university option that would push his career to make more money, and hey, it worked. Number 3 is to get a promotion. If you are a hard worker and honest, employers notice that. They truly do. You can negotiate a raise, but kind of like getting a promotion, you have to add value to the company. You can't just be like, give me a raise because I want it. You need to prove that you are aiding the company in some way. You can learn a new skill so you are more valuable. You can take on a side hustle, which I mentioned in my previous video. I'll link that video down below, 10 side hustles that I actually think are worth doing. Invest your money or move for a new job. The quickest way to increase your income is to move to a different company. And I'm also gonna add, think outside the box. One of my friends babysat in their home for basically her whole career. She was able to stay at home with her kids. She watched 4 kids per week at $150 per kid. She made $2,400 a month staying at home with her kids, watching other kids. Take them to the park, go swimming, and do art crafts, and stay at home. And her husband still had the job, but she stayed home and was able to bring in a pretty solid income. This is a really important step into being rich one day, and that is to invest your money. Now, I don't particularly care what you invest in. Pick whatever you want. It could be cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. It could be the stock market. It could be mutual funds. You could invest into a small business if that's what you want to do, but do something other than just put it in a savings account that earns 0.05 interest. You will not make enough. The power of compounding interest is one of the most fascinating things I learned in my accounting classes in college, and I also took accounting in high school. But I learned about compounded interest and I was like, this is so fascinating. So basically, you invest your money makes money, and that gets reinvested into the amount that's invested, and it makes more and more and more. Like, really simplified it right there. Invest as early as possible and for as long as possible. And yes, the market's gonna go up and down and things are gonna go up and down, but you don't actually lose anything until you sell and pull your money out. So if you're gonna leave it there for the long term, like the stock market has always done well. The real estate market has always gone up. Yes, it does this, but if you look at the huge graph, it's always on its way up, always. Okay, so we have increased our income. We have increased our savings amount. We have identified between needs and wants. We are investing, so we get that beautiful compound interest. Next is don't let the lifestyle creep get you. So you're making more money, you're doing all of the things, and now you're thinking, I could get the nice car, I can get the McMansion, I can do all of these things. But if you want to, retire early, you wanna be like uber mega rich, I don't really know what that means, keep the course, stay steady on the course. Basically using this graphic right here. If you are low income and frugal, you will have a very, very long struggle. If you are low income and spend too much, you'll never be rich, like ever, unless you win the lottery, which is highly unlikely. If you are high income and spend too much, you have lived all sorts of fun lifestyle things, but you'll also have nothing when it comes to retire. If you are higher income and frugal, the world is your oyster. You can retire early. You can take the trips. You can do the things. You will be rich someday, whatever that number means to you. I'm trying to figure out what that means to me. What number is your goal? Like, do you have a number goal for retirement? Like, once I hit this much in my savings, I've made it and I can retire. Have you thought about that number? Like, what that means to you? I always thought it was $2 million for me. If I hit $2 million, I made it. If you use the 4% withdrawal rule, for $2 million, we will live off of $80,000 a year minus taxes, which to me sounds fine. Sounds like a good income. You know, our house is paid off. We don't have kids, college, or braces, or like things to pay for anymore. That sounds okay to me. This is assuming, of course, like no Social Security, no pension, nothing like that. So if you do have those things available to you in your job or whatever you've put into Social Security, that is something that you could add into your monthly take home once you get to retirement. I think the only people who can make it are the ones who make $500,000 a year. That is not true. It is not about how much money you make. It is about how much money you have. And that definitely comes down to how much you do or do not spend. Of course, there are a lot of little factors that go into this. Do you live in a high cost of living area? Do you live in a low cost of living area? Do you have a large family to take care of? Is it just you and you're not married? So many factors. Everybody's situation is different, but tell me what you think. On your journey to being rich, how are you gonna get there? Are you gonna get there by being frugal, by making a whole lot more money, or by doing both together? Because I think that's really the key. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below about this whole topic. I think it's really interesting discussion to have. I love talking about money, so I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.